Hello. My name is That J Guy. I'm a tester for MCC, and I have brought a lot of my fellow MCC testers to answer your questions that you have posted on Twitter and Reddit. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it.
Hi, hello, how are you? Well, currently I think I'm quite okay. I'm enjoying my time off break between MCCs, and I'm sure many of the other testers are. And we're getting ready to go for the next MCC testing, and who knows, maybe we'll even see you somewhere special.
I'm sorry if I'm asking a dumb question, but how do you become a tester? That's not a dumb question. If you want to become an MCC tester, you just have to join the Discord and check the MCC tester sign-up channel. At the time of recording this, the applications are closed, but they might reopen in the future. So just make sure to check the channel every now and then.
Is there a certain age you have to be to sign up to be a tester? The only real requirement is you have to be old enough to be on Discord. Other than that, there's no official age. You just have to be mature enough.
How many of you knew other testers before MCC testing? Personally, I didn't know any other testers before I got into testing. Across the group, this seems pretty split though. On a quick poll, it seemed relatively even.
Do you all like chicken nuggets? Well, you see, I answered that. However, NDA. That's it.
Is there going to be any testers allowed in MCC? You may have noticed that when MCC Rising applications were happening, a lot of MCC testers left testing in order to apply for it. That is because anyone that partakes in a test after October in 2021 isn't able to join any MCC events, including Rising and any other such non-canon audience events.
Are all tests done by non-players? Yep. As of October 2021, anyone who participates in a test can't be in an event, although it can go the other way from player to tester, as proved by Owen being an MCC Rising and then becoming a tester when he joined Nox Crew.
What is your favorite part about being an MCC tester? Honestly, I think my favorite part about being a tester is just the community involved with it. I mean, there's just so many great people in testing, and I've gotten to know so many of them and have become like such great friends with them, both in and out of testing. Also, being able to play all the games as in MCC as a tester is pretty fun as well. And also the running gag of me running burgers but fast every single, well, not every single, most events, most tests is pretty great too.
What is their opinion on air fryers? So that's a really controversial topic in testing. The majority of people are air fryer enjoyers. Not me though, not me. I would never be an air fryer enjoyer. Air fryers are actually just rebranded toaster ovens, but that's a story for a different time. All I'm saying is that Burgers But Fast would never use air fryers to fry their fries, and take from that as you will.
What is the testing process like? Do you focus on certain games looking for bugs and play through the full event later? What kind of things do you look for in testing? It depends. So most tests we do run through the whole event so that we can check everything to do with the event runs smoothly. What they don't tell you is that we usually play every game on the dome, regardless of whether the actual event is finished, so that games can usually run on to like game 10, game 11. Some tests are game specific though, especially if they're new or they've had some heavy updates.
How often do you guys get called in to test stuff? Well, this can vary a lot. For some events there's obviously more changes than for others, so that requires more testing. But when new maps or even new games like grid runners are created, this will usually mean we do a few focus tests for those. Other than that, we'll usually do, like, I would say at least 2 or 3 and up to maybe 4 or 5 full skill tests of the entire event to test for bugs more generally.
Is there like a schedule for tests? Not really, other than it's always at 7 PM British times. In terms of days, it's usually on Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday in the week or two before each event, but I have seen the occasional Friday test before the event.
Do you prefer testing full events or games separately? I definitely prefer testing full events because you kind of get that event experience, right? You have like, it's kind of like a storyline in a sense where you have teams like do super well and they'll clutch up in a thing and they'll get to dodgeball that way. And it's really, really interesting to see different teams kind of go through that arc. But I don't really want to discredit testing events separately or testing games separately as well, because when you're testing a game separately, you're generally playing it a bunch of times, which means that you have more freedom to, you know, try new strategies or like mess around and stuff like that. So both of them are definitely fun, but I do prefer full events.
In the scenario that a new game was added, like Sands of Time back in Season 1 or Grid Runners in Season 2, how long did it take to test before it was ready for MCC? So from what I heard from older testers, for Sands of Time, they only started to test it 3 days before the event. And I believe for Grid Runners, they tested it at least 2 weeks before. So at least it was an improvement that time around.
Has a feature ever been introduced and the testers hated it so much it didn't make it into the MCC? Yeah, it actually happens a lot. That is also why we are testers. It's not necessarily that we hate it, but we just don't think that really works from a gameplay perspective. And some really good games as examples are both Battlebox and Skybattle, where the maps have really undergone a lot of changes from when we initially see them until the event, just to make them last longer and make them more exciting for the final event.
Do you testers also choose which games are used for the next MCC or decide whether a game may be unfit to continue like bingo? While I'd like to say and I hope that our opinions are listened to by the Nox Crew admins, all of the final decisions are in fact made by the Nox Crew team, so we do not have any final say on whether games are removed or added.
Does Danny choose the testers for each MCC test kind of like how Scott does it? Like, are there a number of people who get to play in every event, like Wilbur or Shovel? And are there some people that get to play more rarely, like Phineas, Catherine, or Burn? Well, the red team is always reserved for admins, so they can run the test and experience the new changes firsthand. For the other 9 teams, all testers who are available that day will sign up for the test, and through a bot with a battlesuit system and selection of players will be chosen for that test based on how often they've tested in the past 2 months. And then Danny comes in, Danny the Bush Bandit, to balance all the teams to each other for a good representation of the test.
How are tester teams made? So generally, you sign up with a duo. So there's a bot that you can DM like the username of whoever you want to duo with, and you'll be put on a team with them. And you can also sign up by yourself as well, if that's more your thing. And then they're balanced by average placement. So like say you sign up with a duo and you're both top 10, but that would have to be averaged by having 2 other players in the team be, 30 through 40.
What's generally the favorite team color or mascot? Red, because they win all the time. I'm kidding. It's usually the new one for about 1 event cycle, and then everyone forgets and they just go back to their main color.
What was your favorite skin coordination team in a test? For me, though I have had many, I would say my favorite was when we dressed up as the English Isles flags. Between all of us, we covered England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. It was beautiful.
For my favorite team skin, although I might be a little bit biased, for an All-Stars test, my team and I wanted to be my favorite winning MCC team, which is the Blue Bats from MCC 9. We requested to be put on Blue Bats so we could wear the team skins, but we were randomly put on Yellow Yak, so we changed the B and the T on the back of the old team skins to have a spray painted Y and K on it so it spells Yaks instead of Bats. And then we were the Blue Yaks, and then we won that test, so obviously it was because of the best team skin.
My favorite is also on the same test. It was Anchovy's birthday, so we all wore birthday skins that were anchovy skin, and we had little birthday hats on, and it was really cool because we were on the same team as well. So we took a picture, and it was really hard to tell who you were because everyone had the same skin on.
What was the most OP MCC team from the new tester batch? As of recent, the most OP tester team that has happened was a team consisting of kelawesome, MC Morgan Plays, Shiny Lucario XD, and Bluebeam. This is because they had very good chemistry and were just very good players around. In the end, Kel and Morgan got top 2, with Shiny getting a top 10 performance and Bluebeam getting top 20.
If you win an MCC test, do you get the MCC coin? Unfortunately not. With the amount of tests every month, I think that would make Nox Crew run out of them pretty quickly. Might have to make do with printing out a PNG for now.
I've always been curious, how hard is it to maintain that sweet balance between competitive and being a tester as a tester now? I only ask since I seem to recall competitive testers being a small issue a while back with MCC. So, as testers, we're there to obviously primarily test the event. So for some people it's to play for fun, for some people it's to see their name on the Hall of Fame and be competitive against one another. For others it's just to get the most cakes in SG. So as testers we give feedback on the event and look for reports or bugs or issues. But the competitive aspect isn't as important when, as it is in the real event, because we're not battling for a coin, or we're not battling for a viewership or anything like that. So having that balance of both competitive players and then players looking to have fun helps balances teams being made and helps test the coin balancing as well for the event.
How seriously are typical MCC tests taken?
In all seriousness, everyone is very nice and very chill, and there's not much pressure to be a tryhard or a very good player at all. There's friendly competition, but there's really no pressure, and everyone's very nice and always very welcoming and friendly towards you.
I saw in an earlier post that someone named Kelawesome was the best tester based on placements. What would you say their average is? So I do have a statistic sheet that I made, which was after finding out that I was the best tester based off of individual point averages, since I didn't actually know that I was until the list came out. I figured that it would be cool to see exactly how that happened, and more specifically what being the best tester means statistically. So out of the 5 full tests I've played, I averaged 3,460 coins and 38.8 eliminations per event, as well as I've never dropped out of the top 5 on the individual leaderboard during an event, and I also averaged 2.4th place in that regard as well. I definitely was not expecting these numbers to be that high, especially after I got 40th in my first ever hole-in-the-wall round. Oops, but there you go.
What is the best meme that has ever come from testing? Similar to Grian Dreamslayer. I think the best meme is the piggles meme. As many people know, there is a tester whose name is It's Piggles, and coincidentally, there is a character from the show In the Night Garden who is also called Piggles. So this quickly became a popular tester meme to spam GIFs of the character from the show and make comparison between one Piggles and the other. And it even led to some great art, recreations, and just a whole lot of hijinks. But always remember, run, he is coming.
Which MCC testers would pop off in the actual event, and how well do you think an all-tester team would do? I'd say it would definitely be the top testers that would pop off, but I think it's difficult to compare the content creators and testers. We testers have a lot of inside knowledge, which would definitely give us an unfair advantage in most games, but the content creators also have a lot more time to prepare for each event, as tests are more frequent.
What is the strangest or funniest bug or glitch that you've found in testing? We were just a bunch of unsuspecting testers queuing into a game of To Get to the Other Side, or as I like to call it, TGTTOS. We queued into the shallow lava map, and as you know, the end of the map, there's a big hole with a red floor. This red floor was actually made of wool, so I mined the whole floor and spleefed all the NPCs, and then half the game couldn't finish. And this has been in like 3 MCCs.
The strangest bug that I've ever seen has to be the fills event. One MCC, when we were testing, this very bench behind me turned into an NPC of Filzer for some reason. But I forgot to screenshot it and no one believed me. And they made fun of me for a week until finally in the event, Noxite saw a similar NPC replacing the towers, and everyone finally believed me.
My favorite bug was in Parkour Tag, where the campus was just recently added. So of course I went to spectate my friends in the other team to see how they were doing, and then Piggles was just about to be caught, but instead of having my teammate hit them, I just punched him in spectator and got the kill instead.
Why did Niklaas upload the Airfryers video so the MCC people could copy him and do the skip? Dear MCC community, I wanted to apologize to you about the insane space race skip I've uploaded 2 hours after MCC 14. I just thought it was a funny idea and wanted to show off my skill in the video. It has been quite a while, and I've now changed and won't upload any cool skips until a certain public server releases. I didn't expect any MCC participants to see the video and try to actually replicate the skip, as I thought it was quite inconsistent, which turns out it wasn't really. I'm so sorry that I ruined Space Race for the event, and I hope the next Airfryers map will be just as cool as Space Race.
Why doesn't every tester use the kaizo strat in walls? It's clearly superior. Well, I think they're too scared to succeed. They're too comfortable with their strategies and winning and all that they aren't willing to, take off the blinders and try something new. It's pathetic, really. Baby moves, honestly.
What is the hypest play that you've ever seen that has been pulled off? So typically some of the most hyped plays come from dodgeball clutches, which is to be expected. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. However, I think the craziest thing for me personally to experience was playing a game of survival games. All of my teammates were dead before even half of the rest of the game was, and I just run and hide for as long as possible. Suddenly, everyone starts fighting each other, not paying attention to me whatsoever, until the border shrinks too much and I have to reveal myself, so I do my best to work around the outskirts of the map and pick off as many people as possible. And it worked. I won as a solo with 25 people left in the game and ended up with 9 kills overall. I can't explain how hyped I felt in that moment, it was insane. I ended up surging my team to 2nd place, which gave us a shot for dodgeball later in the event, and I'll definitely never forget it.
What is the funniest moment you can remember from a test? There's actually a lot. Like, I spend a lot of the testing time laughing, but one I particularly remember is from October when we were waiting for the test to start, so we were just around the lobby, and I was just following Kaizo around with him walking backward, and it just started off with just me just like shifting at him and nodding, and then he started backing off, and then it ended up with like a whole crowd of us just very slowly walking after Kyle as he walked backwards around the lobby, and it was very funny.
Are there any strats or plays that work really well in tests but would never work in actual MCCs? Personally, some of my favourite tester strategies are in to get to the other side and whack a fan, also known as TGTTOS AWAF. Some of these strategies are very funny, as we are entirely focused on sabotaging as many people as possible, compared to in the event no one has had the courage to do this so far. Some common strats include physically blocking the pit by spamming as many blocks as possible to stop people accessing the NPCs, or even blocking in the spawn so that no one can ever leave.
Did any of the testers memorize the amount of each block needed for each build in Build Mart? I actually made a spreadsheet of all the blocks you needed and like color coded it for each section. Like the MCC before Techno did it. And I used it once. Like I studied all the VODs and stuff. I used it once in the test and then I realized, man, this is not fun. And then I just never used it again. And like the MCC after got fixed anyway, but it was pretty funny.
Are there strategies that have been used in testing that haven't been found by players yet? Well, I'm glad you asked. So starting off with like skybattle, one of my favorite strategies to do is this thing where you and you're flying with the watermelons into someone with a coconut. And basically that creates a... And then like, that also comes into play in survival games, because like when you're PvPing, you can just like jumping around, and if you use the... And then on top of that, there's also parkour tag, which the favorite thing to do is... And then, you know, cheese hunt, of course, is just...
What games are good to play but boring to watch? For me personally, I think it's Hole in the Wall because I enjoy talking to my friends more than listening to people.
Personally, I believe SG. But it's mainly because usually when SG is played for caster point of view more than a CC point of view, it's usually pretty early. And so if you die early, you're just sitting there. The point systems don't matter as much, and it's just kind of depressing.
For me, Hole in the Wall is the most boring to spectate, just because you can see all your friends kind of jumping around in the center of the map while you're stuck behind glass watching them, wishing you were them.
Kind of random, but do you know similarities in the game order and game selection of the tests with ones in the actual MCCs? The game order usually isn't quite as cut and dry as actual MCCs, but there are usually some similarities between the two. Such as Santa Time is usually a game that's saved for the second half. Ace Race is generally played around the middle or sometimes towards the end. Build Mart is usually played towards the beginning of the test or the middle of the test. And Survival Games is usually towards the beginning or middle of the test as well.
Has there ever been a 9-0 battle box during testing? Many times, actually. MCC testers aren't always entirely as correct as people seem to think. Plus, in actual events, there's 9-0 rounds as well. It's really not that uncommon that despite balanced event and tester teams, the scores seem extreme every now and again.
Do the sands of time seeds change between each test? Or do you have multiple runs to learn the map and see high coin outputs? Generally, the map is the same throughout all the tests. That way we don't have to generate new ones, and we can really learn if it is a good one for the actual event.
How stressful is sands of time? Quite literally, it's as stressful as you want to make it. As like a newer tester, originally I was super afraid of playing sands of time, but as I got used to being around other people, I realized that you can really just have fun with it and just like go with the flow, and it's really not stressful at all, but you like have to have a good mindset about it.
Does Piggles still dominate in survival games and fish people in skybattle? In general, no, Piggles does not dominate survival games as of current. This is due to the fact that many of the new testers are very good at the game, so it makes it a lot hard for Piggles to win and frag out. Albeit, he still performs consistently well in the game. In skybattle, not only Piggles uses the fishing rods, but every tester possible does it. Despite this, the new map for skybattle makes it very hard for fishing rods to get kills, so testers decided to use TNT and blow everything up.
What are your views on punching in to get to the other side? I think my views are a bit different than a bunch of the testers. I never punch and to get to the other side unless it's a special circumstance and an admin is running past me like near an edge. Listen, it's not my fault they're just so punchable, okay?
What do you think the MCC style is game-wise? What makes a game MCC-like? For me personally, it's the unexpectedness, the sense of randomness, the fact that you kind of have to expect the unexpected and do anything at any certain time very quickly.
For me, it's the fact that most of the games require you to work with your teammates in order to score high points rather than one person just carrying the team.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good that it's not just a pure test of one person's skill. What you need is team communication and teamwork. And you can be very good at parkour or very good at PvP, but you still need your teammates to win the games and the event.
I think that the MCC games are very demanding because they play into at least two major skills at the same time. So for example, we have movement and speed for Ace Race or TGTTOS, PvP and strategy for Battle Box and Sky Battle, or in the case of Sense of Time and Build Mart, you would need strategy and speed, all while relying heavily on team communication skills.
Rank the MCC game. My ranking from least fun to play to most fun to play is Battle Box, Hole in the Wall, Survival Games, Grid Runner, Parkour Tag, Big Cell to Build Mart, Dodgeball, Sands of Time, To Get to the Other Side, Sky Battle, and Ace Race.
My ones are a bit more controversial. Build Mart's always been my personal favorite, but my top 4 and 5 always seem to change and switch. Grid Runners, Dodgeball, To Get to the Other Side, and SOT have been one of those things that just switch everywhere. Afterwards, it's Ace Race, Build Mart, Parkour Tag, Sky Battle, and SG, but none of these games are particularly bad or unenjoyable per se. Even the least favorite game is still something that's really fun. It's just at the end of the day, like, some days that's not a good game and it ends up lower, and that's really all it takes to dictate my MCC games.
What is the origin of the programming rock? The rock I'm standing on right now is known as the programming rock. It's where Daniel, the lead developer from MCC, always stands when he codes during the tests, and we like to walk up to the rock and bow down to him and praise him in the rock.
How hard is it to keep secrets? It's not hard at all. As long as you don't bring up something completely dumb, like, you're fine.
From your experience, what do you think should be improved upon with MCC as of right now, smiley face? It's kind of hard to decide what needs to be done, but I will say that I feel like the main issue that MCC seems to get is its competitiveness. And before you start making conclusions, the competitives come from the stress that competitors seem to have that they need to do well, when really MCC was made for fun. The coin is just an added bonus that comes with it, but the coin still has no value. The coin just has personal value of your memories. And at the end of the day, a leaderboard shouldn't dictate how people do. And when you see chat demand that someone should do well, it's kind of upsetting, seeing as the entire point of MCC is to have fun. So I guess it's not a change for MCC itself, but more just a change that I'd love to see in the community, where we just more accept the for fun times.